And welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. The messages of inspirational stories is proudly brought to you by the good guys at the 6minutewebinar.com. And Donna and I are so thrilled to be here with you today. This is Friday, July the 2nd. We're getting ready for the 4th of July weekend. And I tell you right now, in the United States, the 4th of July weekend is a lot more than hot dogs and hamburgers and fireworks,
Right?
especially for those that have served in the military. And, before we get into the show today, I just like to wish everyone some good common sense, okay? Because there are some guys out there, not so many girls, but there's some guys out there that will do something dumb this weekend. And, use your head, be careful, be safe. Don't get in a hurry if you're going somewhere, because remember this, you are worth waiting for.
Right.
Because
And
I know a lot of people get in a hurry when they're wanting to go somewhere, and traveling or something, and they get impatient. And take your time, because you're definitely worth waiting for.
absolutely. And make sure that you're safe in all aspects. Have a designated driver if you're drinking.
Oh
And,
yeah.
one of the things I think it's important to talk about briefly that although the fireworks are awesome, I think it's important to understand that with it, the popping and the booming can often trigger those who have served, who have, PTSD. But there's more. I mean, we all know that a lot of dogs, my own included,
Hmm.
as he's gotten older, he doesn't like it. It scares him. But here's
Hmm.
something else I found out, Jim. Bees can become so disoriented, they don't go back to their hives. Birds have panic attacks at night, causing mass deaths. Wild animals raising babies abandon their dens in fear. Fish and other animals perish, ingesting firework debris.
Hmm.
Companion
Yeah.
animals have anxiety and panic attacks.
Wow.
Amazing. So be safe
Yeah.
out there, be responsible.
Mhm. Yeah, I know when I came back to Vietnam, if a car backfired, I was ready to smooch some dirt.
Right?
I mean, it just instinct. It's just like someone poke you in the ribs, you're going to jump.
Right.
And yeah, so I can relate to what you're saying there, Donna. And it's really also to be mindful of the fact, the eyes and the ears, because the damage you do to your ears, you know it's pretty permanent. It really is. And your hearing is something that it's very, very precious, one of our sense, and just like sight, hearing, and all that. In fact, you know, I've often heard it said that some wives would prefer their husband lose the ability to speech rather than the ability to hear. And we mean that in good humor. Now we're not trying to, get anybody. You see what these people said about you, George. You don't listen.
It's
George
a
said,
little
"What?"
fun.
Yeah, George said, "What did I do? I just walked in the house and these guys on TV dropped me in the grease, and I'm going to do some hard time in the old hacienda." Oh
Oh,
my goodness.
goodness. Well, we have a really important subject. We've had it all
Yeah.
week, Jim, talking
Hmm.
about different kinds of cancer. And
Hmm.
today we are talking about children with cancer.
Mm.
And, that is just, that's a tough one all the way around. I mean, any kind of cancer, I don't think there's anybody anymore who hasn't been affected by cancer, who
Hmm.
their lives have been touched by somebody they know or themselves, or pre-cancer, going
Mm.
into almost having cancer. I
Yeah.
myself was there when I was 19 years old. So that was a little scary for me.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Luckily, everything was caught in time and treated, and nothing more came of it.
Hmm.
But, it's really difficult because children are our most precious commodity.
Mm. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
They
Yes.
are, they are our hearts. They are part of us. They are our souls, and they are the future of this world. And
Mhm.
it is heartbreaking when these children are come down with different kinds of cancer.
Mm-hmm. And you know what's really amazing about kids, and this is a lesson we all could learn, you know, when you see these little kids and they're on TV and they're talking about, you know, the facility they're at, like St. Jude's Hospital is one, a wonderful organization. Notice the attitude of those little kids.
Right.
They are, you know, kind of upbeat, and they're, it just kind of like blows me away.
Right.
Because
They're
when I
fighting
was,
for their life, and they're
no,
still, you know, upbeat and happy.
yes, yes. And I was going to ask you, because I didn't hear about you when you were 19, because at that age there, like I tell people, when I graduated from high school in 67, our group, we were ready to go out and set the world on fire. And I look back now and I think, thank you, sweet Jesus, we did not do that. But you're all about love and life and living. That's what being young's about.
Right.
And like you, Donna, at age 19, that had to be like a whoa, this is not the way I had it planned at all, right?
It pretty much was. It was a little scary. I had an abnormal pap smear, and I don't know if they still do it this way, but back then they graded it by A, B, C, or D, and E, and I was at a D. And
oh my goodness.
So they had to go in and kill the precancer cells, and so I was pretty lucky that I went when I did, because he had told me it was at that level. If I had waited another month or two, it would have been full-blown cancer, and I at 19 would have had to have a hysterectomy.
Goodness. It's when you talk about kids with children with cancer and all that. My second daughter, Christina, she was born a little premature, and she only lived about 8 hours when we lost her. So losing a child is something I understand. And her little grave still, she's in Bisbee, Arizona, and that's why one of the reasons why Arizona is still special to me in my heart. And that's the reason why I have this picture back here of the Mule Mountains in Bisbee, Arizona, because Bisbee is her final resting place. But I know from experience what it's like to lose a child. And, when it comes to children with cancer, we had Dr. George Grant on the show earlier in the week. And last night I was invited to attend a panel with a bunch of doctors. I mean, I was the dumbest one in the room, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to doctors and all that. And George asked me to speak a little bit, and I said what little bit I knew. And everybody thanked me, and wow, that's very, thanks for sharing it with us, because I've got kind of a grassroots reality of looking at stuff.
Right.
But I love the story he tells about 1998. This guy came to him. He was on 28 medications. He was stage 3 cancer, and he was just about ready, as far as the medical staff were concerned, for him to be shaking hands with the undertaker.
Right.
That was about the next step in his journey. And the point being is that we can do for our children, and we can do for ourselves, and we can do for our elderly the same thing all the way through.
Right.
Treat our bodies with good nutrition. Now, to finish the story about the guy, this is where Dr. Grant says 101 ways to live to 101. This was in 1998. The guy was on 28 medications. He had stage 3 cancer. He had a lot of health problems. His eating problems was like a hog. Okay, he loved 6 pieces of bacon every morning. He fried it in a plain old cast iron skillet. He put his eggs in there after the bacon was there, using the bacon grease, and he'd eat that every day. And so he was really in bad shape that way.
Right.
Well, Dr. Grant got a hold of him, cleaned up his diet and all that. And within I forget the time, excuse me there, but it was very short period of time. I say very short, 2 to 3 months. Okay. He was off all of those 28 pills and he just turned 101.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm going like, well, you got my attention now. Now,
Right.
if you want to, in fact, Dr. Grant says if anyone that watches the show or his show or whenever he was on, which was last Tuesday, to be honest with you, if you go to our show on YouTube, Messages of Inspirational Stories TV show, you can pick that up. And when Donna starts talking a little bit, I'm going to put I forgot to do that. I'm going to copy the link and I'll put it into the comments there so you guys can click on it. And you'll see me and Dr. Grant. You'll see the two Grants on the screen. But I'm trying to think of his. I got to put his website up there again. Just a minute.
academyofwellness.com.
Thank you. academyofwellness.com, because I misspelled it the other day. If you go there, he has the ability through your cell phone to give you. He calls it an AO. I forget what it stands for, but anyway, he can read your body and tell you a lot about your health. And if you want to take advantage of that, go to the Academy of Wellness, Dr. George Grant. Tell him you heard about it here on the show, and he'll get it done, because I don't know how much he charges for that. I know it's several $100s, but he'll do that for you. Now, he may have to pace you in, but if you got a health problem and you want to get to the bottom of this, get on it.
Well, and I can speak into. I've always had a pretty good diet, but I've had osteoarthritis since I was 9 years old, and I can tell you that when you are heavier, it is really difficult on your joints. Really difficult on your joints. So, what Dr. Grant offers is an amazing, amazing amount of information on his website.
Yes, he does. And right now, season 3, episode 10, I'm looking right at it. I'm copying the link to our YouTube channel and chat. Let's see out here. Whoops. Chat with us. Okay, let's see. How can I do this here? I'm mentally challenged right now, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, comments. There we go. Post a comment. There we go. And let me know out there if you guys watching, if you're on Facebook, or let me know if you see that there. That chat button keeps getting in the way. I got an issue here with a. I'll keep working on it, ladies and gentlemen, because I got a chat box that pops up, and it's where the little thing is about chat. Underneath it is where the button is I need to push to be able to send that. And this thing is pushing the chain uphill for me.
Well,
so,
while
Donna,
you're working on that, Jim, I looked up some statistics from the American Cancer Society. And around 10,500 children in the U.S. under the age of 15 will be diagnosed with cancer in 2021. And due to treatment advances, however, in the recent decades, 84% of children with cancer will survive 5 years or more. However, survival rates of children with cancer are still deeply varying depending on the type of cancer. And after accidents, I found this really interesting. After accidents, cancer is the leading cause of death in children's ages 1 through 14. And approximately 1,200 children under the age of 15 are expected to die from cancer this year alone, Jim. Wow.
Wow. That's really heartbreaking, especially for the families. And, Donna, I remember that Danny Thomas, he made a promise. He says, if I ever get well-known or famous, I'm going to create a hospital for children
Yes.
to find a cure for leukemia, because leukemia rates back in were about like a 4% survival rate.
Right.
And now at St. Jude's Hospital there in Memphis, Tennessee, and they got other locations now too. But the survival rate for leukemia has jumped up over, I think it's about 95%.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very high. So that gives people a very interesting and it also gives them a lot of hope. Plus,
Exactly.
close to all the children's hospitals, when I say all of them, most of the major ones, there is the Ronald McDonald House. We got to give a shout out for them, because
Oh,
when you
absolutely.
go, yeah, because when parents go there with their kids, I mean, that just affects everybody, and they need a place to stay too, don't they, Donna? In fact, you've got some skin in that game, don't you?
Oh, I most certainly do. So, I'll preference that in a moment. But what I love about Ronald McDonald House is, of course, they're a nonprofit, but they have helped families save nearly $443 million in hotel and meals.
Mm.
And that includes myself and my children. So in 2020 alone, 136,000 volunteers dedicated their time and talents around the world to help the Ronald McDonald House. Their program has helped over 100,000 families and houses up to, are you ready for this? Houses up to 260 families per night.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, yes.
And so I know very well about Ronald McDonald House. I believe 7 years ago, I had a child who was anorexic. And the only facility I could get my child into was in Rochester, New York. So from where I was living in Ohio, that was about a 8 hour drive. And I was, a single mom of 3 children. And I thought, nothing ever comes at an appropriate time financially, right? Always hits you when you least expect it. And so I called and talked to Ronald McDonald House and explained my situation. I had to fax over copies or email, a copy of, from the doctor. And they set me up. So when I took my child and drove to Rochester, I was able to stay there and eat. And I don't mean it's like a little cot in the corner, folks. I mean, these are incredibly nice rooms with really high-end mattresses. A lot of them will have, like, you can house a whole family in a room. Most of them have a private bathroom, and the kitchen is unbelievable. So the kitchen will have, there'll be a section that people will write on, and that is for special diet needs, and you're not allowed to touch those areas of food. But anything in the freezer that isn't tagged for a specific family for their dietary needs is available. They also have volunteers, Jim, that come in every single night with a meal. They bring a meal. So if, there's 20 families in the homes, and some of these homes are huge. In the Ronald McDonald houses, they're enormous. I mean, they have a playground area for the kids. They have a grill out back. They have a little exercise room. They have TV rooms. They have just quiet areas you can go off and read or nap or what have you. And it's very, very secure. So they would bring in meals, and you can eat whatever you want. You can have whatever you want. And the cost is very minimal. And if you can't even afford that, and by very minimal, I mean $10 to $15, $20. And if you can't afford that, they have a grant program that you talk to them about it, and they let you in there. So anybody out there who has never experienced a Ronald McDonald House and needs help, please, please, please take it from me. It was a lifesaver for me. It was a lifesaver for me. because I just did not have the extra money for a hotel room and for myself and my children, because any disease that we go through, and we've talked about this, Jim, anything we go through doesn't just affect that said person. The entire family dynamic is affected by this.
Mm-hmm. In the chat, I also put Ronald McDonald House. Their website is www.rmhc.org.
Yes.
And one of the things I like about it is if you're out there and you want to donate to the Ronald McDonald's House to help a family as their child is going through cancer and things of this nature, 88 cents out of every dollar donated goes directly to their program.
Mm-hmm.
The other 12 cents out of the dollar covers administrative costs, and things,
Right.
and that is unbelievable.
And they're always looking for donations. So I'd like to touch on that for a moment, if I could.
Sure.
Because when you go into a Ronald McDonald House, a lot of these people who come there aren't planning on staying for a long time, and they end up staying for sometimes months, Jim. So they don't have much money. They've run out of shampoo. They've run out of soap. They've run out of all the things that they brought with them. And they have shampoo, soap, everything, toothpaste, toothbrushes, everything you can imagine.
That's really nice, because that is one of the things that, in addition to facing the tragedy of the worrisome event of having a child with cancer, the last thing you need is something to nickel and dime you to death.
Right.
And I'm just so glad to hear that. And I'm going to scroll the Ronald McDonald House across the bottom there. Ronald McDonald House, you can see their website, rmhc.org. And if your child has cancer or any type of disease like that, being treated at a hospital, because they're around most of the major hospitals, I think, children's hospitals. And, you don't have the means to stay in a hotel or something like that. Reach out to them, because they're there for you in your hour of need.
They are.
And that brings me to mind something that we should all live day in and day out in perfect health, in perfect harmony, and when we're just as happy as a lark. I mean, we should always be looking for how can we be a blessing to others.
Right. Because
the Ronald McDonald House was a big blessing to you in your hour of need and financial blessing, but also to how can we also bless others in their hour of need.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we normally, you don't have to wait till someone gets sick or, they're not doing well or they're going through trouble. Right. Because let's face it, it's perfectly normal, perfectly natural, and perfectly human for us to be worried about something.
Right.
You know? And for someone to say, I'm just thinking of you today, I hope you have a blessed day, that you might be the only person that delivers a positive message in their life to lift them up and give them just a little light of hope. That's what we should do. If I did that and you did that and Donna did that and the next person did that, can you imagine what a wonderful world this would be?
I'm sorry, Jim, go ahead.
I was just going to say, rather than all the doom and gloom and all the labeling and name calling and all the nonsense that we see about the lower life forms of humanity.
Well, it's a ripple effect. Okay. Yeah. It's a ripple effect of positive high energy that goes out there. So, it's funny that you mentioned that. And we do talk about that quite a bit, but I got up early this morning and when one of the stores opened, I went over there and did a little shopping, and they had some gorgeous flowers there. And I picked up a really pretty bouquet of carnations.
For me?
And, carnations for you. Yes, I sent them to Texas. And my next door neighbor, I haven't had a chance to visit with her very much. And I have known her just about my entire life. And she's widowed. And And although her children are around and she's got her friends and she's got, her church and she's very active, I just stopped over there this morning and said, I just brought you these flowers. Happy 4th of July.
Ooh.
Yeah. Just something, just a little something. She was really on my heart this morning and I don't know why. And so I just, I just got the flowers and gave them to her.
That's when you invest in yourself in not only this world, but the world to come. It's just,
Right?
it just pays dividends. And I was telling someone yesterday, and we don't ever talk politics or anything like that here, but I just says, can you imagine when we get into paradise, there'll be no politicians and no lawyers. I mean, that's going to be, that's got to be attractive. It really is. And, but we're talking about, the things that we can do for others. Look at all the people who donate funds to the Ronald McDonald House. Again, 88 cents out of every dollar goes directly to the programs. And no, we don't get 1 red cent for promoting this because we're doing this because this is who we are.
Right.
Because a lot of people out there, they've never heard of or know very little about the Ronald McDonald House.
Right. Most people have heard of them, but they don't understand the dynamics. And one of the other things I can tell you is they accept, or at least they did, donations like if you have those little travel shampoo and conditioners and little travel toothpaste that you don't use and they're unopened, you can donate those.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You can donate those to the Ronald McDonald House. They also have very stringent security, 24 hours a day there. And so I think it's really important to, emphasize that. So I personally have seen little baby, little toddlers trying to get out the door. And because it's an electronic lock, they can't get out that door. So, there is major safety there.
Oh, yeah. That's wonderful. And, Donna, I never thought about that, but that's a good idea. Just getting in touch with the Ronald McDonald House at their website there, rmhc.org. And if they will take, things like little travel size toothpaste, deodorant, shampoo, and all that,
right,
you can go out and you could just buy some and put it in a box and ship it to them,
Yep.
But check first and make sure they will accept that. And if not, they will, because as this thing is, in this world, the way things are, unfortunately, you have to be very careful.
Right.
And I was telling people back in the 50s when I was a kid, we'd go from North Carolina down to Florida. Now, back in those days, people in North Carolina, where I came from, didn't travel much. So they were kind of like thinking we were like old Thomas or someone like that going to the Congo. And I remember our neighbor there, Lawrence Proctor, he's no longer with us. His son Larry is, I live next door to them. Great people. And Lawrence says, now, you remember now where you live. Don't get lost. Come back home now. We'll keep that in mind, But along the way, it was very common. Now, this was pre-interstate days because the interstates were signed into law by Dwight D. Eisenhower, President Eisenhower in 1955, but it takes a while to implement that.
Right.
So these were all 2-lane roads, and it was very common to see picnic tables over there on the side of the road. And we'd pull in and stop. And, of course, we'd get the picnic table and all that. And other people would stop at the picnic table, and everybody was friendly. You didn't have to worry about packing a gun or looking at them or anything. And it was very, very common. If the mother over at the other table saw the other little kids over there, to bring over some of the cake and say, here's some cake for your children. Well, thank you. Right. Nowadays, I mean, you probably think they want to put you in orbit around Jupiter or something, or knock you out and you wake up in a tub of ice with a kidney missing or something. I mean, it's sad. My point is, it's sad that life on planet Earth has lowered that much. So therefore, that's why I say get in touch with the Ronald McDonald House, rmhc.org, and ask them if you can send in, if they will accept stuff, like that boxed up.
Right.
And
And what donations are looking for currently at the time.
yeah, exactly. And if not, just go ahead and take the same amount of cash that would cost you and just donate it to them directly. Because a lot of people, they get the joy and the jubilee of buying stuff and putting it together in a box and sending it. They really do.
Right.
So if they allow that or whatever, or diapers or whatever, just check with them and see.
Right.
And there might be chances are in your area, there might be a Ronald McDonald house close by. Go by and introduce yourself and let them, and just ask them if you could bring in goods and all that. And it's straight from the store, that sort of thing. And they might allow you to do that, but find some way to give back. That's the message.
Right.
Because I like to give money. I donate money to different things. But the money is, how can I say this?
It's the vehicle.
Yeah.
The money is the vehicle to be able to reach out and help.
Yeah. But it's wiring some money or sending a check. It's not as personal as it is to hand somebody something. That's my point.
Right.
It's like today you handed your neighbor there those flowers, and the expression on her face and in her eyes. Mm-hmm. You were paid tenfold for that, weren't you?
Oh, absolutely. Because, she wasn't expecting it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Isn't that sweet?
8:30, 8:45 in the morning. She's like, what? And I'm like, I just wanted to give these to you. I said, I'm going to run. I've got a doctor's appointment. So happy 4th of July, and gave her a big hug and kiss and, told her I loved her.
Oh, yeah, sure. And that made her day.
Mm-hmm.
And that made her day. And the children with cancer, and if you're concerned about your health, again, let me put up Dr. Grant's academyofwellness.com. Be sure and go there and check it out, because he's got some free information there for you. And, make sure to give your kid the best chance that they can. And it all starts with good nutrition. I don't care what anybody says, and I don't think anybody would argue that's got, because good nutrition and giving your kid water and not juices that's got sugar in it or anything like that. Dr. Grant can give you a lot of great information there, because you want to give your child a fighting chance to combat cancer.
Well, I look at it like this, Jim.
Okay.
The foundation in having a proper healthy diet is for our bodies, nutritionally speaking, is much like building a house. You have to have a good concrete slab or some kind of really steady foundation on the bottom, because if you don't and you go to build the walls, they're going to cave in on you.
Oh, yeah. You got to have that good cornerstone. That cornerstone is where everything is anchored from and built from. And that is like the flagship of the flagpole of the ship there, the house. And that's extremely important. And nutrition is that cornerstone in life. It really is. But because you think about nutrition and how poor nutrition affects us all the way around, not just in our, physical bodies, but mentally. Right. I mean, some of the time, like sugar, Dr. Grant spoke a lot about white sugar. He says it's very, very addictive, and it is.
It's actually, Jim, here's what's sad about white sugar. It's more addicting than cocaine. It has been proven.
Us chocoholics, we can understand that, can't we? I mean, we walk by a Snickers and we're going like, hey.
Okay. With the chocolate, guilty as charged. I do love my chocolate.
Oh, yeah. It reminds me of a old funny story I'm going to share right with you real quickly. One of the reasons why I don't like to fly, because I don't like the hassles of it. Okay. Plus nowadays you got to stand so many feet apart, but then all of a sudden you're like an accordion, right into the airplane, right? But The thing that popped in my mind when I talked about that Snickers, one time I was on a flight, and I used to fly a lot, several times a month. And that's a lot, you might say. Um, and I got on this flight, and there was two other guys there, and it really amazed me how when the cart starts getting pushed up the center aisle to the front, and they're going to give you these little packages of stuff, and you go like, oh boy, you get kind of excited.
Peanuts
You know that,
and stuff.
yeah, and you know that you wouldn't even look at that for 2 seconds in a convenience store. And this one time they were passing out doodads, and I got to go in with the guys. I said, hey, wow, man, you know what? We're getting some doodads. Doodads. Yeah, I'm not making this up. She's giving out doodads. And we just made a joke out of it. And it's really amazing because snack food like that, it's fun. You can treat yourself, but you cannot live on stuff like that. You cannot live, even though we're plugging Ronald McDonald's, the Ronald McDonald House, all the wonderful things they do, but you can't have a healthy diet eating from fast foods.
Right.
I mean, I'm not trying to knock their business or anything like it. Don't misunderstand me, but fast food does not give you good health. It really doesn't. I mean,
no, it doesn't. And just because of some of the things that they put in there, which are very unhealthy for, like just the caloric intake in most hamburgers across the board that you eat out are like over half of our daily allowance of caloric intake.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I gotta give a shout out to Ronald McDonald, McDonald's restaurants and stuff like that. They have made attempts over the years to clean up stuff but as overall a fast food,
it's a treat.
Yeah, it is. And you can treat yourself there once in a while, but you can't live off of a diet like that. And for many years, I basically, when I was single and on the road and all that, in the military, when I went out to eat, hamburger, cheeseburger, and I prefer onion rings and Dr. Pepper. And, it's a good thing I was blessed with good health, because if I had health issues, all that would have done was complicate my health issues. No question about it.
Right. It would have compounded it.
Mm-hmm. It sure would have.
Compounded it.
Yeah.
It would. Well, when I was doing research for this show, Jim, I got some percentages here of different kinds of common cancers for children.
Okay.
Leukemia, and of course that's bone marrow and blood cancer.
Right.
It affects 28% of children. Brain and spinal cord, 26% of children. Now, if I mispronounce this, I apologize in advance. Neuroblastomia. It develops in the nerve cells as an embryo or as a fetus. It's also called Wilms tumor. That is 5% that affects children. It also starts in the kidney, often found in 3 to 4-year-olds. Lymphoma is in of course, the immune system, and that's 5% affecting children. And then retinoblastoma is cancer, of course, of the eye. That affects 2% of children. And then bone cancer affects 3%. And then osteosarcoma is most common in teens and develops where the bones are growing rather quickly. Now, I didn't find a statistic on that for a percentage, at least in the research I did. But, when you think about that, because I remember before we found out I had arthritis, I was a runner, always was running. And we traced it back to when I was 9, but really didn't find out what kind of arthritis I had and when I had it until I was about 14 or 15. And so because I ran so much and I ran competitively, I always thought that it was just my legs hurting, right? From all the running. I ran essentially 6.5, 7 days a week. Well, come to find out, it was the arthritis. And, at one time when I was running, and I was like 13 years old, I had 27.5-inch thighs. So that's some good sized thighs right there. Right. And unfortunately,
bigger than mine now.
I couldn't continue running due to actually just the fact that I was have a leg that's very bow-legged, and it was in utero that happened, and so I couldn't support the difference in my legs running that circle track. So I ended up doing. I was practicing for get in shape, and my leg completely went out on me. I mean, it popped and went clear out to the side on the track in Arizona in the middle of the summer, and I just went flip right onto the asphalt.
Wow.
So, I mean, we have so many things that happen and we don't think about it. So that one kind of blew me away, that in our bones in children, in where they're growing and forming fast, that can be a cancerous area. And we think about it as adults, well, you're having growing pains, right? We've all heard that. We're having growing pains when you're growing. So, that's, to me, is something that pay attention to your children, right?
Yes.
Because we don't know. If it doesn't go away, then definitely go to a doctor.
Oh, yeah. And the quicker you do, the greater your chances are for any type of recovery or getting over the illness or the disease. But again, Dr. Grant, and I have no financial benefit from mentioning him, but I really appreciate all of the natural knowledge and cures he brings. And he has got 3 doctorate degrees.
Right.
He is a professor. He is one of the people that works with the Canadian health system. And in the United States, he has worked with the Center for Disease Control, the CDC.
Right.
So the guy is some guy in a back room with,
quack.
Yeah, he's not some quack, that's for sure. And when you meet him and talk to him and all that, plus he also had skin in the game. He lost his mom when she was in her late 40s, his dad to cancer in his early 50s. And same was true with his grandparents. It was all hereditary. He heard about that. But now he is 20 years past his father's age when he passed away. He's very healthy. And I told him, I said, I'm 10 years older than you. I'm going to be 73 in August. And I told him, I said, I'm waiting for you to catch me, but I'm not going to slow down. So you got to pick up the pace there, brother. And he gets a kick out of that. But just a fantastic man. He'll be glad to answer any questions. Most importantly, he will give you expert advice on nutrition. Nutrition is the foundation for your health, your happiness, your lifestyle.
Well, and I would like to touch on that a little bit too. One of the other factors that I know personally in my life I've gone through and in the clients I help is understanding that, yes, when you have a disease, it doesn't just affect you, right? It affects the whole dynamic of everybody. So everything that was just nice and tight and beautiful like this, all of a sudden is just kind of helter-skelter, right? And everyone's dealing with emotions and uncertainty, and we don't know what to do. But maintaining And first of all, getting the information you need to make proper decisions on your health care or your child's health care is obviously most important. But second of all, understanding that maintaining a good energy. So
yes,
by it's really difficult, and I get that, folks. It is, but it is so important to be in a good space in here, in your heart, inside, for everybody, but for yourself, because I'm a mother of 3, and I know what it's like. I've gone through some really difficult things with my children, and I know what it's like, and maintaining that for my children so that they didn't feel like the bottom was falling out. And privately, I fell apart. Not going to lie about it. Privately, I fell apart, right? But not in front of my children. And so it is excruciatingly important that you maintain that high energy and have change your paradigms so that healing can begin from within.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you picked up on that, Donna, because it reminded me of something that I was wanting to say. And, you think about things in the morning when you're taking a shower. I mean, you can sing so beautiful. You can hit any note that you want to eventually. But my point being is that, one of the things that can really help you and your child, because children can pick up on your vibe when you're depressed, when you're down,
when you're angry.
And kids have this unique way of picking up when you're dumb. At least my kids did. But my point being is that blend in some fun time, some humor, because laughter is an amazing healer in the body.
It is.
It releases some of these things you call endorphins, ain't it? Or something like that in the brain?
Yes.
Will that make you better looking or smart or anything? If it is, I'm going to start laughing right now.
Well, we'll talk about that off air, Jim.
Oh, that don't sound too good, does it? It sounds like I'm in a GNC status there. You know what GNC means? You got nothing coming, so hush. But go ahead, Donna.
I would like to offer anybody out there who's listening, going through a difficult time with a family member who is sick and struggling to maintain that high energy. I would like to offer that get a hold of me on my website, or on my email, and let's set up a time. And please, 30 minutes, I would be more than happy to help give you a couple tools to navigate through the difficult and darker times so that you can have a better energy and more healing within your whole family.
And I knew a family one time that they had a child that had, I don't remember now what the disease was. It might've been leukemia. It was, pretty devastating for them.
Right.
And the little boy always wanted a dog. And so the dad says, no matter what happens, he loves puppies. He went and got him a puppy.
Aww.
And that dog and that little puppy and that boy, they had so much, there is animals that save lives. And I'm not talking about dragging you out of the river when you fall out of the boat or something, but I'm talking about, saving you
right
in your hour of need. That's just a gift that dogs have. And,
and
I know other animals are very special too, but I was born to love dogs,
I can attest, I have a beautiful dog, and he's 11 years old, all 4 feet of him. And when I got really sick, 7-8 years ago, he became my protector. And he changed. He didn't leave my sight, and he would let me know before I ever had a seizure.
Dogs can do that. Yes, they can. And it's amazing how they can sense what's going to happen to you. Right. But the story about the little boy and his puppy, the little puppy just provided love to him. They laughed together, they giggled together, they played together, and you think about the healing.
Oh, yeah.
If that's not a gift straight out of heaven, I don't know what is.
Right.
Because gifts like that do not come from the gates of hell. I've never seen anything the gates of hell that I even want or care for,
Right.
But when it comes to puppies, and, it's just amazing how they can sense things. And kids can sense things too in your life if you're worried. So be sure and be aware of that and
Yeah.
watch that. And find some times where you're going to let it go. You're going to have some fun. You're going to tell some stories. Maybe you play a game, whatever. Anything that brings joy and jubilee in your heart.
Right.
And
That's so important.
laughter is one of the best medicines you can give yourself. It really is. And I should be real healthy to about 120 or 30, as much as I've laughed at myself in my lifetime. And but that's what you do. You learn how to laugh at yourself and look at the funny things of life. I mean, it's life in itself, and some of the people I've known down the pathway of life. I mean, you go like, bless their heart. They could just, if you put them out. I know some people. I know one guy in particular I'm thinking of. If you gave him a simple job to go out and direct traffic at a simple, crossroad intersection, and all he had to do was direct a one-car funeral to the cemetery, he'd send that thing to Alabama. And he's just as good as gold, hard to go. But I mean, he just couldn't quite get the clutch pushed in all the way to get it in that gear. He just couldn't do it, bless his heart. But just a wonderful guy, and did some comical things in his life. Oh my goodness, time would not permit us, and it's not the topic today to go into that. Besides that, he might be watching. But just a wonderful, wonderful guy. But my point being, laughter. It doesn't cost anything, but it can pay dividends to your child, to you,
and
to
to
the
yourself.
family. Yes. Laughter is a very good tonic for you to take. Yeah. And you can afford it too. That's the beauty of it,
Well, and I can't remember exactly how many it is, but I want to say 6 or 7. It takes 6 or 7 more muscles to frown than it does.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've known some people, I think they use all the muscles to frown. I mean, they just, I'd
much rather have crow's feet and laugh lines than a frown line.
Oh, yeah. I hear you. I know exactly what you mean. It's just, some people, for some reason, it appears that they enjoy being miserable. And I feel sorry for people like that because they don't realize that they're really robbing themselves of the true riches of life. And the true riches of life is love, energy, your lifestyle. It's got to have laughter in there. Because think about it. I've said this before on a previous show. I don't remember how long ago, but 5 years ago, we were all worried about something.
Right.
And for $1 million, you could not tell someone what you were worried about 5 years ago. And I'll bet you $1 to a donut, it never came true.
I could.
Yeah. But my point being, oh yeah, exactly. But I'm talking about, the little things we worry about.
Yeah, it's the little things, guys. Yeah. The little things like, oh my gosh. And I remember this when my children were young, oh gosh, I got to get the laundry done. I got to get this done and, get the house pretty. You know what? Those things to me, especially after my third one came along, I was like, you know what? I'll get to it. What was important to me was spending those moments that will live with me forever.
Oh, yeah.
And I do mean forever, because the only thing that we take with us is the love that we give and the love we receive and those gorgeous memories. That's what we take with us. So, after my first one and after my second one, and then by the time my third one came along, I was like, Okay, I can fold the laundry later when everyone's in bed. I
Yeah.
just wanted to spend that time with my kids.
Yeah. I remember my daughter telling me one time, she was watching me with Colton and Michaela, my grandchildren. And she said, you know what, Dad? You're a lot more patient with Colton and Michaela than you ever were with me and James. I looked up at her and said, you know what? I says, Colton and Michaela are not nearly as aggravating as you two were. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Sticking to it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But ladies and gentlemen, as we wrap up this week on cancer, and today's show was, we talked about children with cancer. Make sure that you get in touch with someone that you know, someone you trust, that's a subject matter expert on nutrition. That is the foundation of all your health, your happiness, your life. Okay. And if you don't know of anyone specifically, Dr. George Grant at the Academy of Wellness.com. He has got 3 doctor's degree. He's a professor. As I mentioned earlier, he's worked with both the Canadian and the United States government in their healthcare system, the CDC in USA and the Health Canada up there. He is a natural subject matter expert. You can ask him to, evaluate you. He will do that free of charge if you just tell him I heard it on the show with Jim and Donna, and he'll be glad to do that. And again, if you do anything with him, we don't get anything from it because we just don't. And also, too, make sure that you, just like I was going to say earlier about 5 years ago, worried about something, but what do you remember from 5 years ago? The good times. Because you survived. And that's what makes those good times so precious to you. You will survive, and your child will survive. And you guys will be able one day, it may not be so much, it may not be here, but one day you'll be together and you will be whole, you'll be complete, you'll be happy, because in the end, you win. So be happy now, laugh, enjoy life, don't worry, and most importantly, show your child love and be there with them in their hour of need.
Right.
That's just something that money can't buy and no thief can ever steal from you. Think about that.
No. And
Donna, our time has flown by again.
It has. We are just about at our limit of time before we get kicked out of the studio.
Yeah, they'll blow the whistle any minute now. But if you'd like to get in touch with us here email-wise, you can email us at the inspiration@e360tv.com. And our sponsor is the 6-Minute Webinar. Just go there. Also on Facebook, you can go to the 6-Minute Webinar on Facebook, and you can scroll down, and individual people from all walks of life, just like you and me, have created their own 6-minute webinar, and you can see if that is a good fit for you. We got a workshop coming up on July the 17th, and it beats any funnel, any marketing tool I've ever seen.
It does.
Hands down.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, you put any funnel
everywhere.
Oh, yeah. And you put a funnel or marketing tool that you know of up against a 6-minute webinar, it's kind of like putting a Shetland pony up against a thoroughbred for a horse race. Because that 6-minute webinar is going to smoke it. I mean that in all honesty. I'm saying that from the bottom of my heart. So if you want to bet on a winning horse, the 6-minute webinar, that's your baby.
There it is.
Yeah. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Be sure, be safe.
Yes.
Take your time, drive careful. If you're going somewhere, please remember that you are worth waiting for.
Right. And Jim and I want to wish each and every one of you, a happy 4th of July.
Yes.
Happy birthday, America. And thank you so much for being here and watching us, not only here in the United States, but internationally on multiple media platforms that we are streamed through.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much for tuning in. And for those of you that's got a birthday coming up this weekend, either today, tomorrow, or the 4th or whatever, on behalf of Donna and myself, we voted on this. So this makes it official. All birthday cakes and all the precious sweets that you like, they're health food on your birthday. So treat yourself, be good to yourself, love yourself, then you can love others. And if you start getting fat from eating all those desserts, it's not our fault. Folks, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bless you. I hope you and your family are blessed in all areas of your life.
Absolutely.
Donna, always a pleasure.
Always.
Always a pleasure. Yes, yes. It's just plumb fun to be here.
It is.
She couldn't run me off with a broomstick. We'll see you next time, folks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.